So sometime last month, I was sitting at my desk doing my schoolwork, the usual, and a thought crossed my mind that I haven't done exercise in a while, so I just decided to do 10,000 steps for a week and see how it went. Whether or not it benefited me mentally because I haven't exercised in a while, improved my resting heart rate, and whether or not it improved my general health. So here's how my 7 days of 10,000 steps went, and whether or not you should try to implement something like this into your life, as well as my thoughts on whether or not this is a viable lifestyle change that you should adapt. So, yeah, let's get right into it. So starting off, my resting heart rate is about the low 60s or around 60 beats per minute. And here's about how I look at the beginning of the 7 days. And also I weigh about 58 kilograms, which is about 127 pounds. My face is frozen, my hands are frozen, my nose is leaky, and I only finished about 60% of the 10,000 steps, and it took a little bit over half an hour. And the good thing about it is that I kind of enjoyed it even though it was cold. It was like a mental break, I guess. And I think it really helps to do a bit of exercise, and especially walking, because it's very inoffensive. It doesn't really interfere with your recovery if you're doing harder workouts. And it also doesn't make you super hungry like running does for me. Like when I run for like 20 minutes, I'm already really hungry. But walking isn't as bad. It's also a lot easier to walk than run, obviously, and it makes it a lot easier to be consistent. Sorry for wiping my nose, it's just I came back in very recently, or just now. Hands are still really red from being cold. But one thing's for sure, even if it's winter, you should probably wear sunglasses when you're out for a longer walk. Even though you might think you look like an idiot, you'd look even more like an idiot if you don't. Anyway, I guess walking at 10,000 steps a day, it's about like 5 miles according to Google. But so far I've walked around 6,000 steps, and that's around 4 kilometers, so I'd say that's kind of accurate actually. So yeah, walking 10,000 steps a day, I guess, serves as a mental break, and even if I'm not doing it to lose weight, it can probably improve my body composition, because even though it doesn't seem like I have that much fat at the surface, maybe I have some fat near my organs, and it's very good for your health to get rid of that because you can't really see it. But it causes a lot of health problems, especially in the long run. But if not, then I guess I'm more free to eat more food, get more nutrition without gaining the weight, I guess. Which is a good thing. I don't know, I'm kind of rambling, so maybe I won't do a talk like this every time I finish a walk, because that would make this video hours long. So continuing on with day 2, I walk past a house with a stray cat on it, but it's way too awkward to point a phone at someone's house. I'm scared of filming in public as always. And here's a compilation of my shots walking outside near the same spot every day for that week. Just kidding, it was way too cold, so I stopped filming these shots after day 3. Basically, I did most of my walking inside, which kind of defeats the purpose of it being a mental break because it's still inside the house, but exercise is still exercise. It still helps the mind and helps to take my mind off my work. So over this week from day 1 to day 7, I went from being the top 82% of walkers rated by step counts over a week, 10,000 steps on day 1 divided by 7, all the way up to the top 12% during day 6 when I walked around 8,000 steps a day, and I finished at the top 6% of all walkers judged by step counts over a week. So surprisingly, a bit over 6% of people walk over 10,000 steps a day, and that's pretty incredible. These people are probably long walk enthusiasts, joggers, runners, but I really respect the hustle and how that many people actually walk over 10,000 steps a day. I don't know, maybe they get their dog to carry their phone on their back and they walk, but who knows? I'm glad to see that there are people out there that actually take care of their own health and do a bit of exercise on their own time instead of sitting at a desk all day like I've been doing for the last while. So 70,707 steps, 54.11 kilometers, and 2,191 calories burnt later, here are my results. Actually, I realized that I did a bit more than that because I did this challenge for 8 days, but I guess 7 makes for a better title. But actually, 80,742 steps, 61.71 kilometers, and 2,499 calories later, here are my results. My heart rate pretty much remains unchanged, still 58, 59, somewhere there. And when I step on the scale, I'm slightly lighter, 0.4 of a kilogram, which is about 1 pound. So I'm about 126 pounds after that challenge, but it's not that big of a deal. It's a combination of maybe eating less during this week compared to usual. But overall, it's not a huge change. Anyway, I'm not actively trying to lose weight because I'm on the edge of being underweight because I'm like 5'7.5" and I weigh 126 pounds. Come on, man. But yeah, here's how I look after the challenge. I don't think it's a huge difference. I think it's a slight improvement actually, but it's not too big because it's only 7 days. So the moral of the story is that you need a lot more than a 7-day sample size to actually make a difference in getting results, I guess. And that it actually takes a lot longer to get results than people usually portray it out in the media to be. I think it's a product of our instant gratification type of society that we live in today, and just the fact that when you see transformation videos, usually they're like 10 minutes, 20 minutes to half an hour long. But in reality, a lot of those transformations take years and years of hard work to do. So anyway, let's close off the video with some of the pros and cons of this challenge and whether or not you should implement it as a viable lifestyle change. So first of all, let's start with the pros, and that is that you get to take a mental break from doing your work and stuff because walking is easy, and therefore it is a little bit easier to stay consistent with walking than it is with something like running because, let's face it kind of hurts to run a lot, whether it be because the air is cold outside or if your joints just can't take that much impact. So the pros: good for the mind, good for the body, and it's light on the joints, so it's easier to do. And also the fact that if you're running and it's the winter, you can probably slip. So if you're walking, you're less likely to get injured by falling on ice or anything. As for the cons, I say that if it's winter and it's actually cold where you're living, it's actually cold, and your face will get pretty cold if you don't wear a scarf or something, which I do not own one, so that's probably why I was walking indoors for like half the challenge. It's time consuming because on the first day you saw that it took me like 40-ish minutes to walk 60% of the 10,000 steps, which means it will take about 80 minutes or a little bit under 1.5 hours, but most days it actually took me 1.5 hours because I was walking in the house. Then there's not that much room to walk faster inside the house. So it takes 1.5 hours. And not everybody has that time to spare, which is why I cut the challenge to 1 week because I had a lot of midterms to do and I just simply didn't have the time to shell out 1.5 hours plus to walk. And another con is that if you're walking indoors, it's really loud. Like, listen to this. Another thing is that 10,000 steps might be a lot for someone who is sedentary because, not gonna lie, the first 1 or 2 days I was slightly sore on my ankles and my foot. And especially if you're someone who is heavier or has flat feet, then this might not be good for your feet. And also the fact that I was wearing flip-flops or like slides indoors, I got a slight little cut on my toe. I mean, take that for what you will. So I say that it's not practical to do 10,000 steps every day, but you can set that as a target. And even though I agree that aiming for a number is good, it seems kind of contrived, or like 1.5 hours of walking is a bit too much for a lifestyle change at first, I guess. And I think that most people should probably start with like 10, 15, 20 minutes of walking. And I think that that would be more leisurely than starting from zero and going straight to 10,000 steps because that's going to take you a while to finish. And I just think it's easier to stick to something that's short and sweet. Yeah, that's all I have to say about that. And overall, I say that this challenge has been quite enjoyable. And as for you watching at home, you could implement this, but you can modify it that you just walk as much as you feel. 20 minutes, you get tired, you rest. Something like that. Just so you don't take an absurd amount of time and also make your feet hurt. And also the point of walking over running is so your feet do not hurt. Stop before that happens, I guess. So yeah, that's about it for the video, and if you enjoyed it, make sure to smash that like button and hit subscribe with post notifications on so you can see more videos from me. And yeah, it's already March. Wow, I'm almost turning 20. That's crazy. And another thing is that school is almost over. 1.5-ish months later. Wow, that's quick. And the pandemic is still in effect. It's been a year. Wow. Okay, that's about it. I'm rambling too much. See ya.